Today, Israel and Hamas launched indirect talks in Egypt for a potential ceasefire in Gaza. The first phase of the U.S.-drafted peace plan calls for the release of the Israeli hostages in exchange for the partial withdrawal of Israeli troops. A second phase envisions the end of the war and a lasting governance plan for Gaza. Nick Schifrin's following all this and joins us now. So, Nick, give us the latest. Where do these talks stand right now?
So, as you said, the U.S. and Israel see this happening in two phases. The first phase, Hamas would have to release all 50 Israeli hostages. About 20 or so are believed to still be alive. And then Israel would not really withdraw, but move back to what the yellow line that you see in this map created by the Trump administration, which is still deep inside of Gaza, some 4 miles inside of Gaza in the south. Israel would also release nearly 2,000 Palestinian detainees. The U.S. and Israel believe that they're having in Cairo right now, or in Sharm el-Sheikh rather, a technocratic conversation. What's the sequencing of this movement? Does Hamas know where all the hostages are, including the deceased? But here's the thing. Hamas has not publicly agreed to the very concept of a phase 1 and a phase 2 that we've been talking about. And before today, mediators told me that Hamas was questioning key aspects of this deal, including not only the sequencing, but the very act of disarming that Israel said is required to actually seal this deal. In the past, Hamas has not been willing to release hostages unless Israel ended the war and agreed to a full withdrawal, and that is not what phase 1 demands. So what we're watching to see, Amna, is whether Hamas's thinking has changed, whether they're willing to release hostages before that step that the Israelis would take.
So if they even get to us, tell us about phase 2. What does that entail?
These are the fundamental questions that have dogged all sides since October the 7th. Let's go through some of them. A surge of humanitarian aid into Gaza, demilitarizing Hamas, allowing fighters amnesty if they renounce violence, international security force to take over Gaza, and the creation of a government led by Palestinians not connected to Hamas, and, of course, an eventual Palestinian state. Pushed whether the administration actually does support a Palestinian state this weekend, Secretary of State Marco Rubio described how much time it might take to create new Palestinian governance in Gaza.
That doesn't exist right now. That has to be built, and that's going to take time. You're not going to build that in 72 hours. You're not going to build that in 72 weeks. I mean, it's going to take some time to get to that point.
For the record, 72 weeks from now is February 2027. For his part, President Trump was more positive today about Hamas's abilities and intentions.
I think Hamas now has been, all I can say is they've been fine. They've been fine. I hope it's going to continue that way. I think it will. I really think we're going to have a deal. We have a really good chance of making a deal, and it'll be a lasting deal. We want to have peace.
To give you a sense, though, of how difficult even phase 1 will be, a U.S. official confirmed to me today that the U.S. officials part of this mediation, including Ambassador Steve Witkoff right there, and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, were not in Egypt today and will not be in Egypt until the two sides show more evidence of moving toward some kind of deal.